Hello everyone, Razorblade Mango here, and today I wanted to just do a quick little review of what I think is maybe the most underseen little hidden gem of 2023, and it's called Paranormasight, The 7 Mysteries of Hanjo. It is a horror visual novel developed by Zine Inc. and published by Square Enix. So, the big reason I want to talk about this today is that I think this game was done pretty dirty by Square Enix, because this thing came out of nowhere for me, and I didn't even know of its existence until about a month and a half ago when I finally played it. Because this came out back in March of this year on PC and the Switch, and Square Enix basically did fuck all to promote it. So I feel a sense of duty to let you all know about this game if you already haven't heard of it, and to try to convince you to check it out, because I quite liked it. I heard whispering about it, like I said, a month and a half ago. I heard, what? There's a horror visual novel out published by Square Enix that's pretty good. So I went out, got it on the Switch, played it over the course of a few days, and like I said, I liked it. I had a good time with it. And I want to praise it more than I can, unfortunately, because I think there are some big problems with the game, but I still think this game deserves time in the spotlight, and I think it deserves a purchase. So the thing that you're going to notice is its ambiance, which is very effective at creating a creepy, unsettling atmosphere. And it can actually be pretty disturbing at times. The basic plot of Paranormasight is that there is this supernatural phenomenon happening in the Japanese city of Hanjo, and you play as multiple protagonists throughout the experience. You try to discover what's going on at the heart of this mystery, while also solving the personal problems of the lead protagonists. Really good stuff, actually. And one of the things I appreciate the most about this game is that very little violence is actually shown on screen. But the stuff that's described at times is pretty vivid. At one point, there is a very detailed description of a murder that even I, who's somebody who is very used to seeing and reading about, high extreme levels of violence, even I felt kind of just icky reading it. Very effective stuff. And this game has themes like child abuse, depression, suicide, so it's not at all for the faint of heart. And it's all wrapped up in this really engrossing story with these really cool mysteries, like I said, at the heart of it. And I really liked how the game was structured for the most part. It has this very creative flowchart of the different stories that you can experience, and certain sections of the timeline are locked off until you figure out something from a completely different character's perspective. I really enjoyed stuff like that. And what is easily by a country mile my favorite element of this game is the game's amazing soundtrack, composed by Hidenori Iwasaki. It has so much range and variety when it comes to its melodies, atmosphere, and even genre. Just to list off some examples, the main title theme sounds like something out of an early Tim Burton movie. And then there are chill yet melancholic acoustic guitar bits. And then there are the pieces of music that make you feel like something unholy is stalking you. I've listened to the soundtrack while walking my dog early in the morning, while the sun is still down, and walking through my empty local park while one of the creepier tracks plays is quite an atmospheric experience. even in a year where we got a mainline Final Fantasy game, a new big Legend of Zelda, and some really good indie game soundtracks, Paranormasight might have my favorite soundtrack of the year. It's that good to me. But as I mentioned earlier, the sad part about Paranormasight is that I wish I could praise it more and tell you it's one of my favorite games of the year. But it has some big problems that knock it down a few pegs in my mind. The biggest gripe I have with this game is that I think the true ending is very underwhelming and disappointing. And when I finally reached the real end credits after seeing everything the game had, I just kind of thought, oh, that's it? It just felt really bleh after all this buildup throughout the game. It was like reaching the ending of a really good book, and it just kind of falls flat in its final pages. Just, again, really disappointing. And that's not the only issue with the storytelling. Early on, I think it has a few too many exposition dumps, and the game has a really cool lore encyclopedia that you can always go back to and look up if a term or a person kind of gets lost in the shuffle of exposition. And the problem is that the game in the front-facing UI doesn't do a great job of making the process of remembering so many names and faces all that smooth. It doesn't have something like, I'm not saying it needs to have this, but it doesn't have something like the active lore journal from Final Fantasy 16, which I think would have really helped a game like this that is so text heavy. And this is a particular problem with the Switch, but it's very obvious that this game was built with the PC in mind, and as a result, it has a very clunky UI on the Switch. In rare instances, you have to do some really frustrating trial and error stuff in order to figure out how to progress. It's just things like that happen so frequently that they end up kind of not souring the experience, but like I said, knocking it down a few pegs in my mind, because there was a point in the game where it pulls some really brilliant little twists in its gameplay and story, and I thought, oh my god, this really is in the running for one of my favorite games of the year. But it's sadly let down by those few but big problems that I have with it. You know, even after everything I said, I still would recommend Paranormasight, especially if you like this kind of thing. If the idea of a horror visual novel sounds cool to you, I think Paranormasight will be a treat for you. And one of the big reasons I wanted to highlight this game as well is that Square Enix recently has said that they want to focus much less on small to middle budget games and focus a lot more on large budget AAA games. You know, that's a topic that I could discuss another time, but I'm saddened by that talk from Square Enix, because I think little games like this add a lot of variety and flavor to a company's output. And the fact that this might be one of the very last weird games that Square Enix is willing to publish and finance is disheartening. Because while it's not great, I do think it is unique and it stands out among Square Enix's published titles these last few years. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Bye!